So then if we move to Garden Well, and I guess this is the thing that's really excited both ourselves and the market over the last 9 months or so. The first discovery holes were drilled here in November last year, and I'll just spend a couple of minutes explaining the background as to how we came to discover Garden Well, because I think this will, as time goes on, be seen as one of the better discoveries in WA for quite some time. What you're looking at on this slide is an exaggerated terrain model of the Moolart Well deposit. So it's not actually Garden Well, but it's interesting in terms of the theory that we were pursuing in exploration when we found Garden Well. Basically what this slide shows is that the Moolart Well laterite deposit sits in a paleochannel drainage system. So it basically sits in a historic watercourse at the bottom of that valley. It's a very modest valley, but a valley nonetheless. And when you look at it on plan view, you can see the paleochannel is the dark grey area there. All the laterite mineralisation sits in the middle of that paleochannel. But the only area where we get geochemical soil expression of Moolart Well is at the edges of the paleochannel. And there's various theories as to why that's the case, but basically it's got sedimentary cover from the paleochannel event sitting on top of it. So we were pursuing a similar theory at Garden Well. Again, looking plan view, you can see that there's a paleochannel running through the area and a weak gold in soil anomaly sitting off to the edge of the paleochannel area. The anomaly itself had been drill tested, but the paleochannel hadn't. So we basically came in here and drilled a series of holes just to test, originally looking for a similar laterite deposit to what we see at Moolart Well. We didn't actually find a laterite deposit. We found a deposit in the oxide zone, but we had some very good discovery holes in November last year, and we've continued to drill the deposit to the north and to the south. And we've now confirmed a north-south strike length of 880 metres, and we've now drilled the deposit down in most areas to a vertical depth of 170 metres, and confirmed that the mineralisation is still strong at 170 metres and still very much open at depth. We've drilled in the order of 40,000 metres of drilling now, and we'll continue to do that infill work over the next 6 months or so. And this is basically why both ourselves and the market have become pretty excited about Garden Well. You can see the sort of results that we've turned up here, 50 metres at 2.8, 33 metres at 3.2, 73 metres at 3.6, 39 metres at 4.5, and 89 metres at 2.3. So big, wide intersections, and when you see it on cross-section, you can see section on section, and it looks geologically and in terms of mineralisation very consistent over the strike length of 880 metres. So all of the drilling that we'd done up until February this year was air core drilling, so it was only able to get to the top of fresh rock at about 80 metres. And you can see on this section we had 47 metres at 2.6 and 18 metres at 11 were the best intersections on that section. Another 200 metres further south, 33 metres at 3.1, 20 metres at 3.7. Again, the geology looks very similar to the first section. And another 520 metres further to the south, 50 metres at 2.3, 44 metres at 3.6, and 51 metres at 2.8. So very strong oxide mineralisation. In February this year, we started an RC drilling program. So we've now tested in most of the areas of the strike length down to about 170 metres in vertical depth, and you can see that the mineralisation very much continues at economic grades down to that depth. On this section, we've got in the in the fresh rock zone, 28 metres at 2.6, 9 metres at 2. On the next line, 320 metres south, 24 metres at 3 and 6 metres at 8. And then on the final section here, 23 metres at 2.5 and 8 metres at 2.7. So basically how we see Garden Well at this early stage is that it's clearly a very significant virgin discovery. It looks to be overall grade of 2 grams or better. It's 880 metres of strike and confirmed mineralisation to 170 metres in depth. It looks to have the potential to be at least as big as Moolart Well, if not bigger. We're looking to have our initial resource out on this project in this current quarter, and we're targeting a resource here of between 900,000 to 1.1 million ounces. We'll then move into a phase of completing a reserve by the end of the year, and then we expect to be in a position, all things going to plan, to be in construction here by 1 July next year, which should see us producing gold from a second plant at Garden Well by the 1st of July 2012. And this is what it'll do for our production profile going forward. You can see in 2011 we'll have around about 10.5 months of production from Moolart Well, and this is assuming that we're not pushing the plant as hard as we ultimately will. In 2012 we should be able to push Moolart Well to more like 105 to 110,000 ounces, and then as Garden Well comes on stream in financial year 2013, you can see that our production will lift to at least 230 to maybe 260,000 ounces per annum. So for a small company that really 12 months ago was really meandering, I think it's been a remarkable transformation year for the company. So I guess to leave you with a few takeaways for Regis Resources, I don't think there's any doubt that we've got the management team to develop these projects. We've done it a number of times in the past. Duketon Gold Project is low capital cost, low technical risk. It's on the cusp of production as we speak, and it'll be producing very strong cash flows, which will go a long way towards developing the Garden Well project in 2012. As I've mentioned, I think we have a very strong pipeline that's not reliant on discovery or acquisition, which should see us with reserves of around 2 million ounces and gold production by 2013 in excess of 200,000 ounces. And clearly Garden Well at this stage looks to be a major discovery, and it's just a question of how big it ultimately ends up being. So I think for a small company in the mid-tier scene, I think Regis is remarkably well poised to grow into the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Questions? The floor is yours, Keith.
Just quickly, Mark, how much you're spending on exploration a year, and what exploration are you actually doing outside of Moolart and Garden Well?
Our exploration budget for the current year is around $8 million, but the bulk of that will be going into the oxide conversion work at Moolart Well and Garden Well itself. I guess it's fair to say that we have probably been a little bit caught off guard with the discovery of Garden Well. Our original strategy in when we took control of the company was to do a lot of the resource conversion work and then start sort of feeling our way with some regional exploration. But in truth, for all the right reasons, Garden Well has sucked a lot of our exploration resources into it, and I think once we get the plant up and running at Moolart Well, we'll then step back a little bit and probably man up and resource up our exploration effort to really sort of reactivate some more regional work. You know, we do have a number of these paleo channel situations across the tenement package, and we're not going to go crazy and spend a huge amount on them, but we certainly will be testing some of these lookalike situations that we see at Garden Well and Moolart Well.
So, Mark, if you hadn't discovered Garden Well, would you be tempted, given the management's track record, to be looking back in West Africa? Absolutely. Our original strategy was to use the Duketon project as well, we really saw it as outsiders before we took management. We saw it as a 600,000 ounce project which would deliver cash flow and hopefully a scrip price that would allow us to grow the company from outside the tenement package. And obviously with our experience and our team who've worked in West Africa successfully in the past, that made a lot of sense. And it's not to say that we won't look to continue to grow the company beyond our current project, but I think for a company of our size, the internal organic growth is so remarkable that really that's going to be our focus for the next 12 to 18 months, unless something really sort of falls at our feet that looks to be an excellent acquisition opportunity. I think we'll be sticking to our knitting with what we've got today. Any other questions for Mark? Okay, we're all determined to get back on track. Thank you very much, Mark.